Okay, shalom everybody. It's nice to be back. With Rabbi Bakn's Kahal. I think he's busy doing a mitzvah somewhere, so we are here together. Now, Bemet is, I was debating to which topic to talk about. So, since there is a variety of ages here, we are thinking how about open questions. If anybody has any open topic that wants to talk about, we can discuss it. Or if not, then I will choose a topic and we're going to go with it. Teshuvah? Okay. You want to talk about Teshuvah? Because what Elul is coming in.
What's the halachot of Maaser?
Maaser Kesafim, you mean?
Like how to do everything appropriately.
Okay. Any other topic that we have a candidacy for? So you rather halacha or you want to talk about a certain topic?
This week's parsha.
Parsha Vatchanan, you mean? Go ahead.
Can you talk about like the Jewish perspective on Aryeh Hara?
On Ayin Hara, you mean? Okay. Okay, we can talk about a little bit of that too. I'm sure that everybody is interested to hear about that, no? Okay, fine. So, we're going to just touch base on this topic and then we're going to go further to different subjects as well. Fine. So, what is Ayin Hara in the Torah?
Why?
Yeah, so what does that mean? What does it do? So the idea of the Ayin Hara is as follows. The Ramchal explains that every creature is subject to what Hashem set them to do and to be. Every creature. And all these creatures are a subject of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, setting them up in certain way to be, and certain things that they can do, and not more, limited. And it's always subject to what Hashem set them to be. There is an exception to that rule. That's human. Human has a two-way system. HaKadosh Baruch Hu set human to be certain way, to do certain things. And the human, when they do things, they can reverse the effect of what was supposed to be or not to be. What do I mean? For example, when there was a question by Avraham Avinu, B'ameh Eda, how do I know you will give my children the land of Israel? So that question ignited that there should be galut for Klal Israel in Egypt for all those years. Had there not been such a question, there wouldn't be galut. So we see there was an ignition done by human, which in this case was the biggest tzaddik, Abraham, and it created a new result that wasn't supposed to be. Or Adam Harishon was not supposed to take from Esadat. It was supposed to be that he followed, that he could use every other tree except Esadat, and then everything would have been perfect world that we could have been living in. But then he decided to take from Etzadat, therefore that ignited what? That there was a totally a different system that Hashem didn't want to be. But since Hashem gave the ability to human to have effect, So therefore, that effect came to be because human made such a decision, such a bechira, such a choice, and therefore that came to be. So therefore, human have a choice, even us, every one of us, and those choices that we make affects what will be for us this coming Rosh Hashanah. And that could have changed what would have been for us, for the worse or for the better. So human can affect vice versa, to bring a new event, new koach, new ability, new energy, so to speak, from Shamayim down that wasn't supposed to be if the person wouldn't have done or would not have said what he did or what he said. That's human. So, since that's the case, the human have ability also to affect the whole world, as we just mentioned. Part of that ability is a person's mindset, intentions, which is translated into his eyes. Which means to say, when a person looks at something, it creates emotion into the person. That emotion has effect no less than when a person says something or does something. Because humans have ability to affect things through their intention, through their words, and through their actions. The intention of the person has great effect. Can you give me an example of that? Give me a very simple example of how an intention has a great effect. Okay, that we have to have emunah to believe. I want you to give me an example of daily life, and it has a tremendous effect.
Asking someone, how are they?
Okay, so okay, very good. That's a good example. I want to show an example of the same act with a different intention will have totally different result. Can you give me an example of the same act with a different intention will have totally different result? Anybody can think of that?
Giving tzedakah, just like, take it, or giving tzedakah with simcha.
But that's different act.
The same action.
You're right, but is that the fact of the not happy face already makes the other person not happy to get it, versus the happy face makes the other person happy to take it. The panim that shows unhappiness versus happiness is still a different act. I want to have the same act with different intention. Go ahead.
On what he said, I want to talk on that. Basically, a person gives tzedakah, no facial expression, but in the heart, he's giving tzedakah to look good. Versus another person gives tzedakah because he wants to help somebody. No expression on the face. Same thing, different thought.
Very good. So that's good. You said is very true. That's in Shamayim, though. We don't see a difference.
Right.
I want to see a difference with our own eyes. I want to give an example as follows. Your fathers come home after a hard day of work. It's very hot outside. And he is tired and thirsty. So child number one runs to the kitchen, makes his father a nice, cold, icy cup of water to bring his father. With a smile, and gives it to him. Does that going to make the father happy?
Yeah.
Then the second son goes and sees the father is very thirsty. He does the same thing. Exact same thing. The father is still thirsty. Brings the second cup. Same thing with a nice smile. Exact same way as the first guy. Abba, take, I know you're hot, I know you're thirsty, take the second cup. After father says, thanks so much, he sits down and he talks to his sons. And he finds out that the first son brought the cup of the cold water because he had so much kavod and care for his father. He saw his father is thirsty and hot and tired, brought him. The second son brought the cup because he needed to make the father happy because he wants to buy a car and wanted to get the father to be on his good side, to have him buy the car for him. Exact same act, but different intention. What is the result of this knowledge to the father? How does the father feel towards son number 1 versus son number 2? What is that relationship now?
The first son is just doing it out of ahava.
But how are they much closer now?
The
First son and the father are much closer. And the father and second son, how do you feel? What's going to be now?
Business transaction.
So how do they feel? Are they so close? No. So exact same act, different intention, had totally opposite effects. And one of the son number 1 made the father so happy and so much nachat. What a son I have. Son number 2 made the father not so happy. See, my son just cares for me to get something out of me. See? So therefore, the intentions are very important. So the intention of human has totally different results. So that's true in everything. So therefore, going back to our conversation was about Hara. So Hara is someone that sees something on somebody or about somebody, and that seeing, that viewing creates an emotion in him. There is 2 kinds of emotion you can have toward that seeing, toward that person. One is, oh, I'm happy he has or she has, or I am not happy that he has or she has. I may smile, but in my heart, I'm not happy. So my intention is negative. So just like in our example, the intention makes a difference, a totally different relationship now. That intention that I have also affects what was coming to the person. It can affect the person not to have because I don't want him to have, or I don't want her to have. So that has such an effect. Fine. This is how Hara works. The intention of the person affects, as much as the first story we had, affects here too. Intentions have power and create result. This is in a perfect world. But now let's look at how it affects really. So this is the power of Hara. So the question is, so a person should be always worried about people looking at him, watching him, because then he would have all these people, could have a different intention. Fine. So Behemet is, a person should not be showy. A person should not go and put up a flag on different things to attract attention. The Torah doesn't want people to attract attention, yet. The Torah doesn't want also a person to be locked into this outlook that people want to harm him. Such a person automatically put himself in a bad position in Shamayim. Why? Because let's take a look. Imagine a person is very worried about Hara. So always has suspicion against Mr. A, Mr. B, Mrs. C, Mrs. D. So a person has a negative feeling toward basically Klal Israel. That itself has much more damage than any Hara. Because Hashem wants a person to be every minute doing what? So when a person gets so locked into that mindset of Ain Hara, then he will lose that mitzvah. If that happens, the damage is far more. Therefore, a person is supposed to mekayem the mitzvah of V'ahavta l'recha kamocha, and that mitzvah is the biggest Ain Tov from Shamayim for you. Why? Because Hashem works midah can get midah. You know what midah can get midah mean? Measure to measure. People are working that way too. If I'm nice to you, you're nice to me. If I'm nasty to you, you're nasty to me, right? That's usually how it works with everything. This is from Shamayim too. So when Hashem sees that the person has a good intention for Klal Israel, He loves everybody. This person, this person, this person, this person, this person wants to do that they should have a good thing. So therefore, Hashem has to do midah keneged midah. So therefore, Hashem has to want and implement for you only the good intentions of the people. Won't let any bad intention come and affect you. Because midah keneged midah. If this person has only good intentions for others, is ohev kol Israel, I love every Jew. I want the good for every Jew. Then Hashem has to respond back. That only an expression of love should be coming to my life and to me and to my family. Then by that definition, Hashem won't let, even if there is someone who has a bad intention, Hashem won't let that bad intention come and affect my life. Because Hashem works midah keneged midah. You do good, good comes. If not, chas v'shalom the other way. But I want good for everybody. I love everybody. Hashem says, you love everybody? Fine. Then I can only allow the love of anyone that there is that loves you to affect you. And if there's someone who doesn't love you, doesn't have good intentions, I won't let that come and affect you because I have to work midah keneged midah. I can't have somebody who has good intention, yet somebody who has bad intention, the bad take over the good. I can't allow that because that against mishpat, against justice. Hashem cannot allow injustice. So therefore, when a person has good intention for others, he will be shamur. Because Hashem has to do midah keneged midah, justice. The Tov Ayin shall have Tov Ayin coming about him. And if there is somebody who doesn't have Tov Ayin, Hashem won't let that happen. Because that would be injustice.
So you're basically saying that you have to not shine what you have too much. And also, you have to have a good heart towards others, and therefore you're protected because you're doing good. Hashem is going to cover you also.
That's right. If you want good for others, I love every Jew. I want the Jews to be successful. I want the Jews to be shamur from all the nezek, any damage. I want every Jew in Israel to be shamur from the Arabs. I want every Jew here to be shamur from every anti-Semitic. I want the Jews to have parnasa tova. So Hashem says, take a look. He wants the Jews to be shamur, so he should be shamur. He wants every Jew should have a parnasa tova. He should have parnasa tova. The Jews should be healthy. They shouldn't go to hospital. They shouldn't get different diseases. So he shouldn't have diseases, this person. Because midah keneged midah. So therefore, we do not invite attraction of eyes. That's what the Torah wants it. Don't attract it. Yet, don't dwell and worry about it. Because then that makes a person a negative force, a negative-minded person toward others, and negativity brings negativity because midah keneged midah. And that's how the system Hashem works. You know how you can test what Hashem does? Which act is rule of Hashem? Which act is the people's made up minhagim or cultures? I'm going to give a formula tonight. Very important formula, and it takes time to dwell on it and to let it sink in. But it's giving you a very important formula that I'm sure you have never heard it. I'm sure about it. Do you want to know, who? We said that we are Tselem Elokim. Hashem made us to His image. What does that mean, to His image? Hashem has no image. It means Hashem made us to the... That's Vaypach ba'apav nishmat chaim. That's speech. Nishmat chaim is a speech. But what does that mean, His image? That's not a speech.
His characters.
That means His right? It says Hashem, it said the admiration will be Yodea Tov Ra like us. That means Hashem's mindset. Hashem put a mindset into us which represent His mindset. Kaviyachol. Because we are the only creature that has a mind, has a thinking. So certain mindset depends on the culture. Certain mindset is universal. Every human on the planet will have the same mindset. Whatever is every human, then that's what Hashem programmed. Because every human has the same reaction. But whatever is, some people react, some people don't react, that can't be Hashem because that's people's culture. You understand? Let me explain myself. Let's say this kehal has certain minhagim that other kehilot don't have such a minhagim. Right? Let's say here they make the shana for a deceased person very big. I think that's minhag here, right? Everybody comes? Many people come? They have respect. Very nice. Other kehilot don't have such a thing. So that reaction is a cultural. It's not how Hashem programmed humanity. This culture, this kehal has such a midah. Nice midah. Others don't. They make a shul, they make a Soda Shelishit. Whoever is in the shul, they don't get all the family come from third and fourth and fifth cousins. But this kehal has. And vice versa with other things too. Now, certain things, every human is the same. Example, I give an example. If you do a tova, a good deed to somebody, what is the reaction of that person toward you?
They want to do tov back to you.
They want to do tov back to you, right? Does it depend on culture or every human is the same?
Program.
So that is min hashamayim, right? If I go and take a gold coin, give it to a person in Russia. Why? Because I want to give you a gift. What is the reaction of that person? He wants to do something bad for you. He wants to say thank you to you. He wants to do something good for you. If I did the same coin in somebody in Africa, same. Very different cultures. In Australia, the same. In America, Asia is the same. So we see human is programmed that Tov should be coming back Tov. If I do the opposite, what would be?
You would get a negative response.
From whom?
The person who did it.
From every culture. So, right? If I do the bad to Russian, the same thing he wants to get me. Same thing in Africa, the same thing in Russia, the same thing in every, because that's it. That's how it is. Bad is like a midah keneged midah. Bad brings bad, and tov brings tov. So we see that humanity is set up that way because that's Hashem's setup. That's Hashem's mindset. Therefore, when you are a tov to others, you are a ohev Israel, then Hashem's reaction to you is, he wants good for others. Hashem says, I have to make sure only good things come to him. And if there is somebody out there has something bad against him, I can't let that happen, because that would be injustice. Because tov has to bring tov. So therefore, that's what it's supposed to be. Nevertheless, again, there is such thing as Ayin Hara, and a person's self mindset and his attitude and his thinking can let that come in or can block it to come in. Therefore, a person has to better to not care, not to believe in it, because you believe that you want to do good for others, and therefore you believe Hashem will do good for you. And if there is a bad force out there, Hashem will block it to protect you, because you want the good for others. And therefore the Ra cannot come and take over the Tov. Tov brings Tov. And therefore that's how a person should just not dwell on it. There has been instances that people are they get so much into it that they get consumed with it. Even people, they can't even enjoy their own thing because they're afraid somebody is going to look at them. Or they become distant to others because they're afraid of others. So such a person already himself, the way his fear is justifying the Ayin. The Ayin Ra is already letting it hurt his personal life, his personality, his social life, and maybe his opportunities too. That mindset could affect his level of parnasah too, his level of possibility of shidduchim for his loved ones. It could affect it. So he already himself, the way he reacted to the possibility of Ayin Hara is letting the Ayin affect his life on his own. You don't even need the other person anymore. So therefore, a person should not let this kind of a mindset to come and affect his life. So therefore, your Ayin Tov, your Lev Tov, will bring you, Be'ezrat Hashem, Hashpa'at Tova min Hashemayim. Hashem sees a Lev Tov that wants good to exist. Hashem says, I want good to exist for this person. Midah can again Midah. Tov brings Tov. That's the best weapon against Ayin Hara which exists. Was the answer clear? Okay, fine. This is Ayin Hara. So then we had another question here we wanted to discuss. What was the other question?
Maser, right? So, have a question about Maser.
So Maser, fine. The Maser, you mean the halacha of Maser or the idea behind Maser?
It's Bible today.
Fine, very good. So in the Torah, okay, very good. So in the Torah, the Maser exists in a person's wealth. Person's wealth in the Torah was not cash. In the Torah, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave the land of Israel to the Jews, he commanded them to give Maaser. What is the wealth of the person when he has a land? Produce. So Hashem said, you have produce that comes every year, a new wealth given to you, you must share it 10% away to the people who need, which at the time were the Leviim who didn't have land. You have, what else do you have as your wealth? Animals. Animals you have to give Maaser. How much? The same, 10%. Give 10% from your new animal that came about this year to the people who need. Who are they? They're the Kohanim. Because they don't have land. They don't have place for the cattle to graze. This is Maaser min Torah. History came about that the Jews were thrown out of Eretz Israel and they went to Galut. And in Galut, the Jews are mainly not so much land owners. There could be landowners too, there could be farmers too, but they are not mainly because they are by the goyim. So therefore, the Jews were transferred into a monetary cash type of businesses. Later in history, in Europe, a Jew wasn't allowed to own land and wasn't allowed to enter a profession. He couldn't become a doctor, even doctor of those times, and couldn't become any high position wasn't given to Jews. What was the only business they could do? Lending. That's why the Jews are great in finance. They could only lend money and charge for that lending interest. That was the job of a Jew in Europe. That's why you go back to literature of the past, even Shakespeare, the Jew is only depicted as a person who lends money and charges interest, because that's the only thing the Jews were allowed to do. They always criticize the Jews for charging interest. They never mention, but you never give any other chance for them. They have no other way to make money, and they have to support their family. Fine, that's another conversation today. So the question became, now that the source of income has transformed to cash, what would be now? There's no more land, there is no more cattle as the main source of income. What would be? So therefore, this became a question, and the Chachamim said there is a takana at least, that there is a maaser on cash that came new also. You only give the new money, just like before. A new crop, give the maaser. Last year crop already I gave, fine. Newborn behemoth animals, they give maaser. Old, no. So therefore comes the new cash this year that I made, I give maaser. There's a machloket of what level it is. Rama says is a misa min Torah. Maran says is a misa min Rabbanan, and some say is a minag Israel. So the machloket where is the source of this obligation, but Shulchan Aruch brings it as halacha. So at least you have to assume is at least midrabanan to give maaser. But again, maaser is from the new money that you keep, which means to say, I go to my accountant. My accountant usually does yearly returns. That's what the rule of America is, yearly return. I tell him, okay, sir, how much is my profit after my business expenses? Not my personal expenses, business expenses. How much is my profit this year? He says your profit this year after expense of the business is $10,000. Okay, $10,000. Okay, I need to give $1,000 to maaser this year. That was my new money. So $1,000 maaser. So what do I do with it? Then you have to sit down and make a cheshbon. What's your priority? Shulchan Aruch has many different levels. What's priority? There's 8 levels in Shulchan Aruch, problem halachot of tzedakah, and you try to do your best to.
Can you go through the priorities?
Of the halachot, which is what was the best one?
Yeah, who gets first?
Okay, very good. So your Dia Gimel is here. This is Torah. This is Shulchan Aruch. Here. Okay. Okay, fine. So here, Halacha brings as follows. Shemona ma'alot yesh b'tzedakah. There is 8 levels to tzedakah. Zol ma'alo mizo. Each one is higher than the other. Hama'alo hagedula shein le'ma'alo mimenu. What's the highest level of tzedakah? Anybody can guess?
Teaching someone how to do,
Giving the job.
Okay.
or lending them money to start a business.
Giving
Okay.
without giving somebody without knowing who you're giving and without the person knowing that you're giving.
Okay, so, okay, fine. Let's see which one is the first one. So, Hamachzik biyad Israel hamach. Somebody who holds the hand of a Jew who is going down. Venoten lo matana. Either gives him a matana or even halva'a, a loan. Or ose shutafut, or does with him a partnership. Or mamtilo melacha, or finds a job on his behalf. כדי לחזק ידו שלא יצטרך לבריות, so that this person should not come to need. So we are talking about the first level of tzedakah is person sitting by the border of trying to hold himself versus falling and needing someone to help him. So therefore, the first thing is try to give somebody to be able to be independent. Now, independent is the main thing. So therefore, it doesn't matter if you lend, if you give matana, or you find a new business that you can partner with him, which you can even benefit. But at the same time, you made this person to be a financially independent person. That's the first level. Now, then he mentioned the one that you mentioned. If you give to somebody that doesn't know who is giving it, but that's just telling you the level of tzedakah, but it still doesn't tell you what's priority. So here the priority goes as follows. The first priority goes to Yetomim, who want to get married. That they're Yetomim and they have no support. That and the Talmidim who need to be able to continue learning, these two are the first level. Yetomim who need to get married, or Talmidim who need to stay in learning. You help somebody to be in the yeshiva as opposed to parents cannot afford, and they could not be able to go to yeshiva and they may go to public school.
Sorry. Question. If there's a person who's very wealthy and they're not come forward and they're like on that board, let's say you have a 2% aspect, is a priority to give to them buying group / other than it's in the school or the person that's on the border?
Fine. So the border is first. Why? Because the first priority is to not create anim. Yotomim are already anim. Nevertheless, in halakha you should know. Halakha of tzedakah is such that you don't give to one source. You got to divide up. Just a question of the priority and the size. So therefore, you're going to try to cover as much as you can, but the level of priority gives you the level of how much you want to give. Because that's priority. So then, let's go down to the next level. יש מי שאומר שמצוות בית הכנסת עדיפה מצוות צדקה. Then comes regular tzedakah versus a shul. Community needs a shul. Which one is better? So he says shul is better than regular tzedakah. Yet, מצוות צדקה לנערים ללמוד Torah, but as we said before, somebody who needs to be in the yeshiva, that's tzedakah that is helping a youngster to be in the yeshiva. Or somebody barminan is chole, sick but cannot afford doctors.
That's after the Knesset, giving to the Knesset.
Adifa mi bet HaKnesset. That's more important than Bet Knesset. So if you're going to buy an Aliyah in a shul, which is expensive, fine, it's a tzedakah, no question. But you have to first address that there is money for aniyim who are cholim. They need cure, refuah shelema, barminan. Or there is enough funds for certain individual bachur or bachura. Does make a difference. Boy or girl that is able to stay in the yeshiva versus going to public school. Then comes the shul, then comes the regular tzedakot.
A boy or a girl in yeshiva, isn't that the same as a Talmud that needs money to continue learning? What's the difference?
Okay, in those times, the point was to ascend the yeshiva, as opposed to go back to farm and work. But he wouldn't be lost. Now it is even worse because if the boy changes the lane from yeshiva to public school, he's going to be ruined. So even more so, by us, the mitzvah of keeping a boy or a girl in the yeshiva becomes priority. Because those times, the worst could happen, he is a simple Jew. Doesn't have so much knowledge, he is working in the farm. It's a simple Jew. Simple Jew was a Jew. He kept his ways. If you go back to the age of the grandparents, many of them were not so learned. They didn't have the opportunity to learn the yeshiva. They didn't know so much. But they were Jews. They had no question about their identity. There was no question to go marry a goy. Or besides marrying a goy, doing crazy things. Now there is crazy type of ideology out there. Right? What is your identity as a person? What's your identity as a nation? It's all question now. Everything's question. So now it's even bigger issue than those times. Now it's much more important that a Jewish boy or a Jewish girl must go to yeshiva. Is a hasrat nefashot because public schools are disaster. It's not only that they become Amharis. No, they become lost as a human. He doesn't think or feel or look like a human because he went public school. Public school takes away the identity of a Jew and identity of a humanity out of the person. So it's much more severe of result now than those times. The halacha becomes much more strict that the person should make sure there is funds for people to be able to go to yeshiva. Because the other side is much more severe than used to be. Fine. This is halachot of maaser. So therefore, it goes on a yearly basis. Therefore, if you make it today $1,000, you don't have to take up right away $100 gift. Because maybe by tomorrow, the business activity will have a different number. Maybe even have a minus, chas v'shalom. And then at the end of the year, you didn't make that $1,000. Therefore, it's a yearly basis. Therefore, the best way is either you have your own cheshbon that you could make calculations, or if you can't, you give all the numbers to your accountant. So tell me, clean out of the business how much came out. Take off all the business expenses, what I paid to the workers, what I paid to the rent, what I paid for the car going around, electricity, heat, whatever I paid for business, take it out. Give me the clean profit. That clean profit is what you gotta give from that maaser.
Oh, wait, share that question. So, but isn't there a zechut if you do make it? Let's say you make $20,000 out of the $20,000, immediately you give $2,000 tzedakah.
Yeah.
There's a zechut because the challenge of the Baruch Hu when it comes to.
Okay, you could do that. I didn't say you cannot do it. I just said you're not obligated to. You can give tzedakah. I want to give tzedakah anyways. Isn't not a lot? Is a lot. Give tzedakah. As long as you don't make yourself a needy person, you could give as much as you want. But what's the obligation I'm dealing with? Halachically, what is the Torah wants? What's the halakha wants from me? The obligation is such, but I want to go beyond my obligation, help more people, because I love Klal Israel to succeed, especially in their weak areas, talmidim, sick people, chas v'shalom, people who don't have enough parnasah to take care of their family. I want to care for everybody. That's tremendous zechut, no question. What obligation I'm dealing with? Go ahead.
Rabbi, so maaser and tzedakah is the same thing, or it's two different concepts?
Okay. Tzedakah is the minimum. Maaser is on top of the tzedakah. You know what I mean?
So tzedakah comes from the 90% after you take out the 10%.
No, tzedakah, everybody is obligated to give. And that has no number on it in the Torah. The number in the Torah is kedei machsero. You see somebody that needs an apartment. It's a homeless Jew. You see him. You know he is a Jew. You know he has no money to rent an apartment. Min Torah, look at your pocket. Oh, I have $3,000 in my pocket. You see a sign down the street, 1 bedroom for $1,500. You must go take out $3,000, put it down, let him have an apartment. The Torah says goes based on the need. There's no numbers in the Torah. And if you don't have $3,000, you're patur. What can you do? Talk to a friend that you know he has. Say, my friend, I can't afford it because I don't have that kind of money in my pocket. But you do. This guy is homeless Jew, and there is an apartment right here. $1,500 per month. They want 1 month security, 1 month rent. He needs a place. He becomes obligated because now he knows about it. So Minat Torah is need based. There's no numbers. You walk down outside, a Jew says, you know what, I'm hungry. Minat Torah, you have to go to the restaurant, nearest place, or your house, whichever one has availability. Make enough for him to have a dinner. That's mitzvah tzedakah. It cost me $10. Yeah, that was obligation, not more. He needed food. So the Torah is need-based. There's no numbers. And if nobody ever comes to you, leave me b'mokom ashirim, nobody comes to you, and you never heard about somebody overseas, like Eretz Israel, which we are obligated to care for, I didn't hear anybody, so you're good. So Chachamim put it that you have to give 10%. No matter what. Understand? So therefore, it's totally different system. Torah system is need-based. Chachamim put the number because the Torah put the number on the real maaser, which is by the crops and by the behemoth. So Chachamim said, let's apply that to cash. Although the Torah didn't put it. The Torah just said need-based. The guy needs this, give him. He needs that. The guy needs a car, give him a car. Right? A Jew lives in the suburb, he can't do with the train. In your city, you can do train and buses here. The guy lives in a suburb. He can't make it with the other car, so the community has to give him a car. Because that's his need. You live in Queens Boulevard, you don't need a car. What do you need a car for? There is buses, there is trains. Okay, so we have to make sure you have availability to train. So make sure every month we give you a monthly card. So you can go around. You don't need a car. You live in Long Island, I need a car. I can't walk around. There's no buses, there's no trains. Okay, so it's need-based. That's the Torah. Okay? Fine, very good. Anybody has any questions? No.